Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vacha Kalpatarubhyasya Cha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Natraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Specs. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 13th chapter, verse number 34. Sanjaya Uvacha Naham Veda Vyavasthitam Pitarorva Kulanandana Gandharya Va Mahabaho 34. Sorry. Pitari uparate Pandav Sarvana Suhrudan Shishun Arkastam Vyasanat Pitravayo Kvagatav Ita Pitari uparate Pandav Sarvana Suhrudan Shishun Arkastam Vyasanata Pitravayo Kvagatav Ita Pitari uparate Pandav सर्वान्ना सुहृदन् शिशून् आकृष्टां व्यसनथा पितृवायो क्व गताविता अरक्षतां व्यसनथा पितृवायो क्वगताविता पितर्युपारते पाण्डौ सर्वान्ना सुषदान् शिशून् अक्षनता व्यसनता पितृव्या क्वगताविता पितर्युपारते पाण्डौ सर्वान्ना सुहृदन् शिशून् अरक्षतां व्यसनतः पितृव्यो क्वगतावितः पितर्युपरते पाण्डौ सर्वान्ना सुहृदन् शिशून् नथ पितृवायो क्वगतायिता पितरी unto my father uparate falling down Pandav Maharaja Pandu Sarvan all na of us Suhrada well-wishers Shishun small children Arakshatam protected Vyasanata from all kinds of dangers Pitravayu uncles Kwa where Gatau have departed Itaha from this place. Translation: when my father Pandu fell down and we were all small children, these two uncles gave us protection from all kinds of calamities. They were always our good well-wishers. Alas, where have they gone from here? Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmritam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sagana Raghunatarvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pagulagayate girim metripa tamam mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Parvanadamadam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Tatsat. Hare Krishna. Telugu translation. కావాల్సిన వాళ్ళు ఆడ వెళ్ళొచ్చు. పరమానంద ప్రభు ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ చేస్తున్నారు. హరే కృష్ణ. సో ఈ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ చాలా చిన్నగా ఉంది. సో ఐ విల్ టేక్ అప్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ ఆఫ్ వర్స్ నంబర్ 37. Sanjaya said, "My dear descendant of Kuru dynasty, I have no information of the determination of your two uncles and Gandhari. O king, I have been cheated by those great souls." Hare Krishna. Purport. The great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know, but it is a fact. The great souls cheat others for a great cause. It is said that Lord Krishna also advised Yudhishthira to tell a lie before Dronacharya, and it was also for a great cause. The Lord wanted it, and therefore it was a great cause. Satisfaction of the Lord is the criterion of one who is bona fide, and the highest perfection of life is to satisfy the Lord by one's occupational duty. That is the verdict of Gita and Bhagavatam. Dhritarashtra and Vidura, followed by Gandhari, did not disclose their determination to Sanjaya, although he was constantly with Dhritarashtra as his personal assistant. Sanjaya never thought that Dhritarashtra could perform an act without consulting him. But Dhritarashtra going away from home was so confidential that it could not be disclosed even to Sanjaya. Sanatana Goswami also cheated the keeper of the prison house while going away to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami also cheated his priest and left home for good to satisfy the Lord. To satisfy the Lord, anything is good, for it is in relation with the absolute truth. We also had the same opportunity to cheat family members and leave home to engage in the service of Srimad Bhagavatam. Such cheating was necessary for a great cause, and there is no loss for any party in such transcendental fraud. Hare Krishna. And there is no loss for any party in such transcendental fraud. Hare Krishna. A very interesting statement made by Srila Prabhupada. The great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know. Hare Krishna. Here is an incident from the first canto, 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now all these days we were talking about Vidura advising Dhritarashtra to quit home. So quitting home is not an ordinary thing. So for anybody. Because for a conditioned soul in this material world, unless he has got a higher shelter, and we have got a higher purpose in life, so nobody wants to quit home. So unless our mind is completely fixed on the absolute truth, so there is no point. Nobody would like to quit home. So here Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and Kunti, they are determined now. They have left home now. So and Sanjaya and Yudhishthira Maharaj are perplexed what to do in a situation like this. So I was taking care of them so nicely. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is feeling bad that these great souls have left home, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and Vidura. So what to do now in a situation like this? So here Yudhishthira Maharaj is taking responsibility, as we have seen in the previous verses also, that Yudhishthira Maharaj is taking responsibility that I am responsible. I killed their 100 sons. So when my father Pandu fell down, so then who was the only shelter? Dhritarashtra was the only shelter. So he took care of all of us. He gave us education in Gurukula. So he taught us the military science which is necessary for the Kshatriyas. So and he took care of us so well. But what did I do for him? So I killed all his 100 sons. So this is though it is last time also we remember this statement by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is saying that for their unavoidable mistake. This is an unavoidable mistake by Yudhishthira Maharaj. So though they tried many things to stop the war, but the war could not be stopped. So it was the plan of the Lord, and the plan of the Lord will come to force at any cost. So this thing we have to understand. Here the great souls cheat others may be astonishing to know, but it is a fact that the great souls cheat others for a great cause. It is said that Lord Krishna also asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to tell a lie. So people may become astonished. So can we lie? Can we lie? So can we cheat? So many of us may also think that anyway cheating is okay. It is for Krishna's sake. So many of us may take this excuse also. We can cheat if it is for the cause of Krishna. Is that okay? To cheat? It is okay to defraud. It is okay to lie in Krishna consciousness. Apadharma. So unless there is a great cause and it is under the direction of a great authority, so we cannot do this. So it should be guided. So all these such things needs proper guidance, or else we may lie for our own cause or for our own selfish needs and purposes. So here there was a great cause. If Dhritarashtra had disclosed his plan to Sanjaya, you think Yudhishthira Maharaj would have allowed Dhritarashtra to go away? At any cost he would not have let him go. So here it was a necessity that Dhritarashtra leaves home and he practices austerities at the forest, so that the last stage of life he can prepare for his next life. So if we don't do this activity, if we don't dedicated the fag end of our lives, so we cannot prepare for our next life. So therefore the whole Varnashrama system is designed that the end of the life we don't have any commitments, no material commitments, no working at the age of 60, 70. So we have to make a plan in such a way that our consciousness is completely dedicated our life is completely dedicated for uplifting our consciousness. So therefore, if Dhritarashtra would have not left home and had he disclosed his plan to Sanjaya, then it would have been a big problem. So Dhritarashtra would have been at a great loss. So therefore, sometimes such non-disclosure of facts becomes essential. Here he did not disclose his plan to Sanjaya. But this is for a higher cause. What was the higher cause? What was the higher cause here? To realize one's own self. So self-realization. So self-realization is there is no better cause than realizing one's own self in relationship with Krishna. So therefore this transcendental fraud was necessary. And we see the incident of Yudhishthira Maharaj also. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was advised to lie. So what did Yudhishthira Maharaj say? Was he willing to do? So Yudhishthira Maharaj was not willing to lie, because all through his life he had not lied. So and it was a big thing for him to lie. So but he was not willing to lie. So he told Krishna, I cannot lie. So what happened when he was not willing to lie? So Yudhishthira Maharaj Ratha was not touching the ground, because he was a Dharmatma. He never lied in his life. So his chariot was always above the ground. So but when he denied to lie, what happened? The chariot touched the ground. Why the chariot touched the ground? Because he was not willing to do this on behalf of Krishna. See, there are two things here. So lying is bad. So for our own selfish purposes, lying is bad. But when it comes to the point of So lying for Krishna. So when there are two things. One is the indirect instruction of the Lord and the direct instruction of the Lord. So the indirect instructions of the Lord are given in the scriptures. So this is the indirect instructions. So then there is a direct instruction. So Krishna is physically present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he is asking Yudhishthira Maharaj, you lie now. This is very, very essential. If he had not lied, then Dronacharya would have devastated the entire Pandava army. The war would have been finished. So because they were such powerful warriors, so nobody could stand before them. He was the direct disciple of Parashurama. Dronacharya is not an ordinary soul. He is a disciple of Parashurama. So nobody can defeat him in the war. So unless he is killed by some plan. So this was the plan of the Lord to kill Dronacharya, or else everybody, the whole war would have been finished. The plan of the Lord, somehow or the other, the plan of the Lord should be executed, and we have to align with the plan of the Lord. So the whole life, our life is meant for aligning with the plan of Krishna. If we don't align with the plan of Krishna, then our whole existence becomes a waste, futile. So it becomes just Shamaeva hi kevalam, if we don't align with the plan of the Lord. So therefore, how to align with the plan of the Lord is the point today. So then we have to understand, so everything in this material world is meant for the pleasure of Krishna. So how to understand this? So it is not very difficult to understand also. So when you enter a forest, you may find a fruit on a tree, a flower on a small plant. So we may try to pluck the flower, or we may try to take the fruit. Why do we do that? Because we don't see any owner nearby. There is no owner. And there is a hand cart here with full of mangoes. Do we go and take a fruit just like that? Why? Why don't we do that? Because we acknowledge the owner. The owner is there. So we acknowledge the owner. So similarly, in this material world, unless we acknowledge that everything in this material world belongs to the Supreme Lord. So we have this propensity to enjoy independent of the Lord. So why don't we take the fruit from the cart? Because we acknowledge the owner. Here we are not seeing any owner in a forest or a garden. We may think that, so no owner is there. So but when we find no owner, when we develop a sense of proprietorship, and we try to develop a sense of controllership. So this sense of proprietorship and this attitude of controlling things is because we think that we are the Lord of all we serve. Because of this propriety to lord over the material nature. This tendency to lord over the material nature, to enjoy this material nature. So, but we are not meant for enjoyment. So, we have to acknowledge the real owner, that is Krishna. So, as long as we don't acknowledge the real owner, that Krishna is the proprietor of everything and everyone in this material world, so then we try to exploit things for our own sense gratification. So, therefore, how to identify this truth is can be understood like when we try to see things independent of the purpose of the Lord, then we try to lord over material nature. So how we try to enjoy, the spirit soul is pure by nature, but how the spirit soul tries to enjoy this material world is by the medium of false ego. So when the spirit soul is shunted by the false ego, then it tries to enjoy this material world as a false enjoyer. So when we try to enjoy this material world independent of Krishna, then we try to become false enjoyers. So that is what we are trying to do in this material world. We don't acknowledge the real proprietor of things. We see that everything in this material world is meant for my enjoyment. So therefore, the Lord has given us a plan as to how we can understand this fact that we are not the real enjoyers in this material world. We are not meant for enjoying this material world. We have to understand that the real enjoyer is Krishna. The real proprietor of this material world is the Supreme Lord. If we don't acknowledge this fact, then we try to act as false enjoyers in this material world. Then what is wrong with this false enjoying propensity? We may ask this question. What is wrong with this false enjoying tendency? Huh? So we are all trying to enjoy this material world, no, in a false manner. What is wrong if we think that we are the enjoyers of this world? Huh? Yeah. So because if we don't acknowledge the proprietorship of the Lord, or if we don't acknowledge the Supreme Lord, then we try to enjoy this material world through the medium of false ego, enjoy this matter through the medium of false ego. So the super soul or the spirit soul tries to enjoy this material world shunted by false ego. Then what happens? Then every interaction with every other living entity in this material world becomes painful. What happens when we take this attitude of false enjoyership? Then every interaction of the jiva in this material world becomes painful. So it is like a person is trying to walk on the road. If his feet is bound by a boulder, will he be able to walk freely? Then his speed becomes less. Then he has to drag that boulder and walk along with the boulder. Then what happens? Then every interaction becomes painful in this world. So because we are trying to identify with the false ego. Then people become if people don't listen to us, if people don't follow us, what will happen? Then every interaction becomes painful. So then we'll have clashes, then we'll have ego clashes. So then we try to control, then we become angry with people and angry with things also. Not only we become angry with people, we also become angry with things also. So to quote this incident, one of our senior devotees was saying that, so one person was trying to move from Pune to Bombay. So there is one place called Lonavala, so where you do not get any signal. So this person was trying to send an SMS and he was not able to send the SMS because there was no range. What happened? He was trying to press it again and again, and he was becoming angry. Finally, what did he do? People were telling him, now this is Lonavala range, you will not get any range here. You have to wait till Lonavala passes away. Then you will get the range and you can send the SMS. But he was again and again trying to press, and he was not able to get it done. So he finally threw the mobile and spoiled it with his boots. He kicked it, he smashed it with his boots. What happened to the mobile? Then people were saying, what is wrong with you? You spoiled this 20,000 rupees mobile. Then after some time, Lonavala passed and the people got the range. They said, now you got the range, now you try. By that time, the phone had become dead. So we may become angry with people and angry with things. So this is what happens when you don't identify that who is the real proprietor. So we are all Prakriti. So we may be in the dress of a man or a dress of a woman. So but nobody is Purusha here. Only Krishna is the Purusha. So if we don't acknowledge that Krishna is the only Purusha, we are all meant for his enjoyment. So then we falsely try to enjoy this material world and get into all sorts of problems. So therefore, Krishna has given us a plan. What is that plan? The plan is following the Varnashrama Dharma. So, follow Varnashrama Acharavat Purushena Paramam Puman Vishnur Aradyate Panta Nanya Tattoshakara. So, Vishnur Aradyate Panta, this Varnashrama system is actually meant to please Krishna. So that everybody in this material world fits into the system of Varnashrama Dharma. Why we should fit into the system of Varnashrama Dharma? Because everybody has got a Swabhava nature. So we have to take our professional duties according to our Swabhava, according to our nature. So everybody has got a nature. The Brahmanas have got a particular nature, the Kshatriyas have got a particular nature, the Vaishyas have got a particular nature, and Shudras also have got a particular nature. So, but there is also a negative side for each Swabhava. The Brahmanas also have got a negative side. The Kshatriyas have got a negative side. Vaishyas and Shudras, they also have got a negative side. What is wrong with the negative side of the Brahmanas? When they want to prove a point, they may also lie, and they may get into Vada and Vitanda. Vada is okay. You can present your argument. But Vitanda is trying to prove a point even if it is wrong. What is Vitanda? Vitanda is trying to prove a point even when it is wrong. And you may also lie to prove your point. So that is the negative side of a Brahmana. So he has to give up his negative side. So then the Kshatriyas, they have control and possession over things. So what they can do, they can control people. They can also exploit women. So all these problems are there with the Kshatriyas. They may exploit people also. So this is the negative side of the Kshatriya. So and what is the problem with the Vaishyas? So they may get a product for 1,000 rupees and they may sell it for 1 lakh also. So this is all possible. So because this is Vaishya tendency. So you may make profits, but there is a particular level of morality which or code of conduct we need to follow. And the problem with Shudras is that they cannot be disloyal to the masters. So everybody has to follow his Swadharma. If they don't follow this Swadharma properly under the guidance, then they may get into an exploitative mode. So this is the problem. With Varnashrama also we have to be under guidance. If we don't follow this guidance under Varnashrama, we may get into an exploitative mode. So this is the point. So therefore what we have to do with the Swabhava? Swabhava is nature, very difficult to change one's own nature. I will tell a story also in connection to this. So very difficult to change one's Swabhava. So, but if we don't carefully take away this negative side of our character, so then we will not make any progress in life. So it's just like apple. You have a nice apple, but if the apple has some small dent or a small mark, or it is getting spoiled from one portion of the whole apple, what are you supposed to do? You'll throw the whole apple, or you try to cut the portion and use the apple? We cut the small portion and eat the rest of the apple. So similarly, we also, Varnashrama also has got a beautiful side. So we have to see what is the negative side of your swabhava and cut the negative side, and you have to use the positive side of your swabhava. So therefore, when people are endowed with talents, they can use these talents for the service of Krishna. So giving up the negative side. So I'll tell you how difficult it is to change one's own swabhava. There is a story from the Panchatantra. So there was one sage. So he was a very great sage. So he saw a rat coming out of the hole and running here and there, she-rat. So running here and there for food. The sage became very merciful on the rat. So he said that I will adopt this rat and make her into my daughter. So he adopted the rat. So he blessed her to become a beautiful young girl. So he called his wife and told her, now you take care of this girl nicely. So then the sage's wife, she took the girl along with her, and she groomed her in a very nice way. So the girl grew up to be a very beautiful young lady. So and she came of a marriageable age. So it was the responsibility of the sage now to get her daughter married off to a suitable groom. So he said, I will get you the best of the husbands, you come with me. So first the sage went and approached whom? He went and approached the sun god. So then he told her daughter, see, then the sun god also told, I am willing to accept your daughter because she is your daughter. So you have brought her in a sage's daughter means she has brought up in very good samskara. So I am willing to accept, the sun god said. But he asked the girl, but the girl was not willing to accept the sun god as the husband. So he is very hot. So it's very difficult for me to bear this heat of the sun. So I don't want to marry him. So then the sun god said, but I have a suggestion, my dear sir. I have a suggestion for you. So you can get your daughter married off to the clouds. So then the sun god, then the sage along with his daughter went to the clouds. So then the daughter told, I will not marry the clouds because he is too cold, too wet, too moist. So I cannot bear all these things. Better I don't marry him. So then the cloud also said, it's okay sir, I will suggest one more person. You can marry the wind god. You can go and approach the wind god. So then the sage along with the daughter, he went to the wind god. So what did the wind god Vayu do? So, yes sir, I am willing to marry your daughter. I have no problem. But but the lady, she was not willing to marry him. Because sometimes he is in Australia, sometimes he is in America, sometimes he is in New Zealand. So I don't want to marry a person with a moving job. So nowadays we have people with jobs moving from America to England to Europe. So 2 years they are here, 2 years somewhere, 2 years elsewhere. So now the jobs have become like that. So she was not willing to marry the wind god also. So then the wind god said, I will suggest one more person who is in a stable place. He has a stable job. So I will send you to Giriraj. So then he went to the king of the mountains. Then when they approached the mountain, she said, this fellow is very rocky, rugged, very rough. So I don't want to marry such a person. So then he said, okay, there is also one more powerful person. So he is the rat. He can make hole even in me and he is living in me. Mushika. So you go and approach him. So then finally the sage went and took the daughter to the rat. So immediately the girl liked the rat. Why she liked the rat? Immediately she liked the rat. So then the king, sage also said okay. So then he changed her again into a rat and got them married, and they lived happily. So the sage said, I adopted you as my daughter, I gave you good samskaras. So, and also wanted to get you married to the best of the people. But now you are happy with the rat only. So you happily stay with the rat. So why? Because she, from her rat form, she had transformed into a human being, and now she is again going back to her original nature. So this is going back to the swabhava. So if we don't work on our swabhava, so what happened to the girl? She was given good samskaras, everything was given to her. But when you again go back to your own samskara, was it a good choice made by the girl? Was it a good choice? Because she could not change her swabhava, things became difficult. So similarly, when we come to ISKCON, when we take up to Krishna consciousness, so we also have our natures. We also have our negative side, we also have our natures. So when we don't really work on our natures, what happens? So when we don't work on our swabhava, then again we come back to square one. So this human form of life is an opportunity given to us, so that we can change our nature, we can work on our negative side, we can work on our negative natures and work on the negative side of the swabhava and start transforming ourselves. So as I was suggesting last time, without transformation, what will happen? We cannot stop transmigration. So if you don't work on transforming yourselves, then you have to transmigrate from one form of life to another form of life. So therefore, the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to work on the negative side. So work on the subtle body, because the subtle body is going to give you the gross body. If you don't prepare your subtle body, you will surely get another gross body. And what kind of a gross body you are going to get is all dependent on how much are we going to change and adopt ourselves now. So therefore, Krishna may give us opportunity time and again to be born as human beings, because we have taken to the process of Krishna consciousness. So we are all trying to become devotees now. So but if we don't really work on the negative side, so then we cannot really transform our lives and become devotees. So how many of us really want to work on the swabhava, the negative side of the... So and we cannot change the swabhava unless we have a very powerful process. So if we don't work, if we don't adopt to the process, if we don't do tivrena bhakti yogena, so then we cannot change our nature. So if we all want to enter the kingdom of God, then we have to work on our nature and try to become God conscious. So if we don't try to become God conscious, if we don't try to see Krishna as the proprietor and controller of things, if we try to continue as false proprietors and false enjoyers in this material world, then we are going to remain where we are. Ashraddha danasya purusha dharmasasya parantapa aprapya ma nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. So in the 9th chapter 3rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying that, so mrityu samsara vartmani, if we ashraddha danasya purusha, so if we have got this human form of life, we have got all these facilities. So Krishna has given us the association of devotees, he has given us scriptures, he has given us such wonderful parampara. So if we don't take advantage of all these things, so what will happen? Ashraddha, if we don't show Shraddha, if we show Ashraddha, what happens? Then again we have to come back again here. Ashraddha danasya purusha dharmasasya parantapa Aprapyama nivartante. We cannot achieve Krishna. Aprapyama nivartante. Mrityu samsara vartmani. So we have to again come back to this Mrityu samsara. And again transmigrate into this 8,400,000 species of life. So therefore it becomes essential for us to transform ourselves and stop the process of transmigration. So take to the process of Krishna consciousness very seriously. Chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with care and attention. If we don't chant with care and attention, then we cannot transform ourselves. We cannot change our consciousness. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any doubts? Hare Krishna. Pradeep.
Swabhava. So we know that it is wrong and starting with but after certain again, how to get it?
So this Swabhava is something we have to really work on, but it comes back time and again. So now at least we realize that we have understood the negative side of this Swabhava. So then we have to really start working on it. So no matter it doesn't don't think about how are we going to fail. So failures are a part of the struggle. So just like a child when it is trying to walk, when the child is trying to walk, it is said that it falls minimum 5,000 times before it learns walking. So similarly our struggle with Maya Devi is always there to work on the negative nature, negative side. But you should not be discouraged by the fall downs. If you are discouraged by the fall downs, then you will not attempt at all. So just like the father is not disappointed when the child falls down, but he becomes disappointed when the child fails to, now I cannot walk at all. If the child takes a determination, now I will not walk at all, I will not even attempt, then it leads to disappointment. But if you keep trying again and again, so then we can work on the negative nature and we can learn walking one day. So one day we will try to align with that. This is what I am trying to say, that we have to align with the plan of Krishna. So when we try to work on this the Varnashrama aspect, so when we are working according to our prescribed duties, the Brahmanas they work as Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas they work as Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas they work as Vaishyas and Shudras. Even though there is a negative side, we have to still work on our nature and continue. So if we stop working on the negative nature, then it becomes a problem. Don't stop. We may get hurt, or we may fall down in the process of attempting to change our nature, but still you should continue. So that will be encouraging. So it is said that when you are fighting with a tiger of Maya, it is natural to have scratches. So Srila Prabhupada says this, when you are fighting with a tiger, it is natural for you to have scratches. So if you are not fighting with something small, so therefore to change our Swabhava and come to the original nature of Krishna consciousness will take time. So we need to be patient also, and we should not be discouraged by failures. So failures are stepping stones of success. But we should not attempt to, if you fail to attempt, then it's a problem. Hare Krishna. So any other questions? Anybody has? Sitaram. So because I think it's not mentioned here, but elsewhere I have heard too, that Kunti Maharani also left along with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. So, but I think here they are feeling bad for everybody. So along with Kunti also. So, but it was for a higher cause. So there are other instances also given here, like Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was imprisoned. So Sanatana Goswami was imprisoned. He was sent to jail by Nawab Hussain Shah because Rupa Goswami had already left. So he did not have any interest in continuing with his prime ministership. So therefore Sanatana Goswami came. So he said Sanatana Goswami was acting like a standby because if both of them leave, the king will become very angry. So he had already told, if I don't want you to leave, because if you leave, what will I do? I will persecute and kill the Vaishnavas. So they were working under actually threat. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were actually working under threat. So they were threatened by Nawab Hussain Shah just to save the devotees of the Lord. So they had taken this position. They had no interest. But when Sanatana Goswami was imprisoned, so Sanatana Goswami, what did Sanatana Goswami said? How did he escape? So Sanatana Goswami went and spoke to the jailer. So Rupa Goswami had kept some money with a banker. So he knew that such an incident would occur. So and Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they were already ministers in the court of Nawab Hussain Shah, and they were also aware of politics. So politics and diplomacy, when it is used for a right purpose, then there is no harm. So here Sanatana Goswami used this trickery. He knew how to, he had the art of talking to people. So it is said that Sanatana Goswami, even when he was in Vrindavan, many people would come to him to settle disputes. So all small disputes of the village and all, they used to come to meet Sanatana Goswami, and Sanatana Goswami would settle all their disputes because they were already had this experience. So as ministers. So and see, that is the side of your swabhava, but you can also use it on a positive side. So Sanatana Goswami, what did he do? He spoke to the jailer. He said, see, I am going to Mecca, he said, because he is a Muslim. I am going to Mecca, I am going to become a fakir. Fakir in the sense, I am going to become a saint. So I am going for the cause of Allah. So you have to relieve me. So then, but don't think that for your help I am going to take your help freely. I have kept 5,000 gold coins for you. So I have kept it with such and such a banker, you go and collect with him. So I will tell him. So then, but the jailer was telling, suppose if the king comes to know that I am trying to be escaped, so that I was the person who helped you to escape, then he will kill me. Then Sanatana Goswami also gave him a plan. So don't worry about that. Tell him that when I went to pass tool, so I jumped into the river and I was not to be seen again. So he gave him a plan also. Then finally both of them agreed for the plan. Sanatana Goswami goes to the river. Actually he jumps into the river and he escapes. So this is how Sanatana Goswami escapes from the jail. So people may say that Sanatana Goswami had to be moral. So by being in the jail. Was it a good suggestion? So because he had the mission of Lord Chaitanya at hand. Why did they escape? So because they had the mission of the Lord to be fulfilled. So Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, so they all serve the Vrindavan Dham. They excavated the pastime places of the Lord. So they write scriptures. Nana Shastra Vichara Naikya Nipunau Saddharma Samsthapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Trivovane Manyav Sharanyakaro Vande Rupa Sanatana Ravigo Shiji Rupa. So they scrutinizingly studied all the Vedic literature and Saddharma Samsthapakau. They established the true principles of religion. So they had a higher cause. So when the great souls cheat for a great cause, they had a great cause. And Raghunath Das Goswami also cheats his priest. So to go to meet Lord Chaitanya in Jagannath Puri. So Raghunath Das Goswami was the only son for Govardhan Majumdar and Hiranya Majumdar. So Therefore, he was carefully guarded. So it is said that he escaped 17 times to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How many times did he escape? 17 times. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected him 17 times. So he sent him back saying that this is not the time. So how many of us would really attempt if you are rejected 17 times? So great souls cheat for a great cause. So he went 17th time. So he told a lie to the priest and he escaped. So this time what had happened was the Panihatti Chidadahya Mahotsav had happened. Nityananda Prabhu gave him mercy. When he got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, this time when he escaped and met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri, so by our own Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted. Involvement in Krishna consciousness. So great souls cheat for a and with the help of senior devotees. So this is what we should do. We can make the parents aware for a great that what your son or child. And there is also one more incident quoted here. So this can be the incident of. This is okay. This is also a transcendental fraud to come to take shelter of the. So then, Lord. Srila Prabhupada is because ultimately Lord is our. I also had this maintainer, proprietor, family members. Mata, Pita. So what did do? Srila Prabhupada do? Sakha. Srila Prabhupada took sannyas at the age of 54. So and ultimately sannyas. So it is not to connect everybody to Srila Prabhupada and the Supreme Lord is the purpose and goal of life. So but the environment we should all conducive for him to practice. We also preach. So therefore we should also understand that when we are preaching. So he had written Srimad Bhagavatam. We are preaching to them with an intent. Those days you cannot do not have typewriters. So they are not allowed to have. So they are the do not have laptops, notebooks. Guru and Krishna. So we have to connect them to studying Srimad Bhagavatam and he had kept everything safely. So this is the purpose of this. What did Srila Prabhupada's wife do? There is no point in connecting to us. There is no point in connecting. Papers. So we have to connect them. She took that Bhagavatam manuscripts and she went to Sadhu Guru Shastra or sold to a paper wala. So this is the whole purpose of for buying tea powder. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. So she purchased tea powder out of Bhagavatam, selling the manuscripts of Srila Prabhupada. So then Srila Prabhupada became very upset with this incident. So then she spoke to her